Animal Crossing New Horizons just got a Nintendo Switch 2 edition and a brand new update for those who already own the game on their Nintendo Switches. This game is going to be $5 extra. If you've already got that game and you have a Switch 2 and you want to upgrade to the Switch 2 edition, all you have to pay is $5. This is mind-boggling in so many ways, and I think it says something about Nintendo's new direction in how they are handling Switch 2 editions. If you want to know exactly what happened with this update, what it all entails, and all of the information about that, please go watch my video covering the initial update. But Switch 2 editions have also been a big contentious topic in this entire Nintendo sphere, and of course on my channel itself. We started the Switch generation with a bunch of free upgrades. They gave us a bunch of games upgraded up to 4K, 60 FPS, some of them, for completely and totally free. Mario Odyssey was one of those games, a huge game that they could have definitely brought a Switch 2 edition over to the Nintendo Switch 2 and given us a bunch of new content, and people would have eaten it up. They would have absolutely gone crazy for it, but they gave it to us for free, and they did that with so many other games. That's why it was so confusing when Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom got their Switch 2 editions that added zero content in the game itself other than the smartphone app. The smartphone app gave you a bunch of different content, and then the game itself was pretty much just upgraded into 4K 60 FPS, and that was it. The only difference between Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild's update was that you were paying $10 specifically for the smartphone stuff that you probably didn't even care about using. I made a whole video about the Switch 2 edition debacle and why it is such a big problem, but here is the hope, right? Here is the light at the end of the tunnel. The most recent Switch 2 edition that has happened now is now Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is the very first Nintendo Switch 2 edition outside of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that did not add any content to the game itself. Because while this update does include a bunch of different content for the base game, that's not exclusive to the Switch 2. The only thing that is exclusive to the Switch 2 with the Switch 2 edition is the mouse controls, the microphone capabilities, the camera abilities, all of the other things that the features can only be used clearly on the Switch 2. This is different, and it's only going to be $5. And this is where I just can't wrap my mind around this because this is new. It's totally unprecedented, and they're not following any sort of pattern whatsoever. Did they listen to us? Does this have to do with the pricing debacle? Were people so mad about the Nintendo Switch 2 editions, about $80 games, that they decided to just give this for $5 and $65 for a brand new person? Because this will only be $65 for someone who wants to buy it on the Switch 2. What in the world is going on here? Well, let's walk through the possibilities of what this could potentially mean moving forward and what this does mean for Nintendo right now. Number one, this shows that Nintendo doesn't think that they have to charge us $10 extra simply for the graphical update. That's not what they've shown us in the past, and it's not what they're showing us now. With Breath and Tears, they charge us $10 extra for the extra content. In Super Mario Party Jamboree, they charge us $20, $10 for the content presumably, and then $10 for the graphical update, but that is wrong now. We're seeing that that is wrong now. They're showing us that $20 is what they think is worth the extra content. They show us now definitively that they only charge $20 extra on top of the base game for the content itself. So with Super Mario Party Jamboree, it had absolutely nothing to do with the graphics itself. Of course, they didn't even update that in terms of graphics, but they did add a bunch of content, and that is what they are charging the extra dollars for. $20 up to $80 if you're buying it brand new, $20 for the content itself. Same thing for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, $20, and now same thing for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, $20. We are charging $20, Nintendo says, for all of this new content, and of course the graphical update will come for free. So the argument that you're paying for 4K, the argument that you're paying for 60 FPS goes out the window. They just are showing us now they don't care about that. They are not charging us for this extra stuff. They're only charging us for the content. So in their minds, this is showing us that they believe that this extra stuff is worth $5. The mouse controls in terms of being able to move furniture around your house, the ability to be up to 12 players online and to be able to game chat and use the camera, the mic functionality, every single thing that they're using the Switch 2 for, that in their minds is worth $5. So moving forward, if they decide to do anything like this in the future, say Xenoblade Chronicles for example, if they wanted to give that game a Switch 2 edition, they could in fact only charge us $5 and then have a bunch of different features be present in that game due to the Switch 2's capabilities. That is what they're showing us with this new game. That is possible. And we didn't know that was possible before. Before, the only patterns and the only precedent that they had set was that $20 extra for a bunch of new content was all we were going to get. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom obviously were only $10 extra, but that was probably because it was only smartphone content. They are genuinely following through with their variable pricing. This is not just them talking out their butts here. $10 for Metroid Prime 4 and then $10 extra for Pokemon Legends ZA. Those Switch 2 editions, it does make sense. They're saying, okay, $70 for brand new games that are going to be on the Switch 2, got it. $20 extra for old content with new content, got it. Now $5 extra for a game being rose up to 4K, 30 FPS, it's staying at 30 FPS, but then having that new Switch 2 capabilities are going to be $5. Are you confused yet? Because I'm pretty confused myself. This is a weird thing for them to do. Moving forward, I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes in how Switch 2 editions work. We might get other games just like this, but at the same time, we might not. For example, Splatoon 3 kind of did a weird thing with that as well. Back in July, I believe, or June, they announced Splatoon Raiders and then a new update for Splatoon 3 alongside of that. They also released a free update to Switch 2 users specifically to make that game run better. It was free, totally and completely free, so free upgrades are still on the table. Now we know $5 upgrades are on the table, and now we obviously know that $20 are going to be on the table as well for new games like Super Mario Bros. Wonder. When I first saw this trailer and then I saw the price, I could not have been more blown away because it was only $5 extra and $65 for a brand new person to get into this game on the Nintendo Switch 2, which, by the way, a lot of people are probably just going to have that original game and then pay $5 for this, or get it on sale and then pay $5 for it. Either way, it's going to be easy to get this game on the Switch 2, and it's probably not going to be a reason that people buy a Switch 2, but it certainly is possible that someone might want to say, okay, 4K is worth it for me. I care about this game so much. I want it to run better. I want it to look better. I'm going to buy a Switch 2 for it. The next thing I need to address is, are they actually listening to us? Would they have charged $10 back at launch like they did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and then they just decided to throw us a bone? I don't know. I can't tell you one way or another what they thought internally, but this is my best guess. My best guess is that this is how they were always going to do it. Unfortunately, I don't think that they're responding to us as we would hope they are. They're not going to go back and reverse the pricing for any of this stuff because people are buying it. Pokemon Legends ZA, one of the most controversial games on the Nintendo Switch 2, just sold over 5 million copies in 1 week. 5 million. It's absurd. It's absurd, and it shows that Nintendo doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to cave in. They don't have to do anything to cater towards that crowd that is so loud and saying that Nintendo is greedy and doing all these horrible things. People are buying Nintendo products at an unprecedented pace. This is the future of Nintendo and the future of the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo selling things for however much they want and people continuing to buy. Now, of course, they're not going to charge $100 for games. They're not going to go that crazy right now, but $80, I wouldn't be surprised if we see in the future that continue as a trend. Mario Kart World was $80, Donkey Kong Bonanza was $70. We know that that is a weird disparity between those two games, especially since a lot of people think Bonanza is a lot better than World, but still, I think if you get yourself a new Smash Bros, a new 3D Mario game, there's a chance that those games are going to sit at $80 full dollars, and that's not fun to think about, and I don't think that's a good idea for Nintendo, but we can at least see that they are following through with the variable pricing. They are saying $5 is what this is worth, so we're charging you $5. And it is interesting compared to games like the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, that was $10. This is now $5. So why in the world did they charge $10 for the Welcome Tour when they knew a lot of people thought it was going to be a pack-in game and they wanted it to be a pack-in game, and they charged us $10 for it? That wasn't a big deal. $10 is not that much, and the content in that game was worth about $10 in my opinion, but still, if you're going to charge $5 for Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch 2 Edition, why can't you charge $5 for the Welcome Tour, and why can't you just give it for free? It didn't seem like a smart decision in my opinion, and it didn't seem like anything that was helping them with their bad PR at the time. Now let's talk about the potential third option. This is the best case scenario that I truly do not think is going to happen, but we can't deny it is now a possibility. Moving forward with Nintendo Switch 2 editions, with old Nintendo Switch games coming to the Switch 2, upgraded in some capacity with at least graphical additions and maybe Switch 2 capabilities, we now know $5 is possible. $5 could be the new standard. It could be one of those things where we get a bunch in a row that are only $5. That would be amazing. Can you imagine if we got Luigi's Mansion 3, a Switch 2 edition of that, and it was only $5? If we got a bunch of new content and we got all these different capabilities like the mouse controls using the vacuum, that would be so cool. Oh my gosh, I'm frothing at the mouth. Getting that game that already looks so amazing on the Nintendo Switch 2 only for $5, it would be something. It would be a really good idea for them to do. I could only imagine what they could do with other franchises as well. But I've said this once, I'll say it again, I don't think they're going to do that because $5 is just too cheap. Like, it's too good of a deal for them. And the free update with Animal Crossing is a little bit different because we know that they have added free updates to that game continuously. That's the model for Animal Crossing, is that they release the game and then they give us a bunch of new content as the game's lifespan goes on. It's similar with Splatoon 3, except that's more of a multiplayer focused game. So maybe that tells us that Nintendo thinks Animal Crossing is much more of a multiplayer game rather than a single player one, even though it can be enjoyed perfectly fine by both parties. Though it can be enjoyed by both sides of the aisle completely and totally the same. Like, equal value is given to both single and multiplayer from Animal Crossing, but multiplayer is a big push with Animal Crossing because they gave us that big Pro controller, they gave us the Switch edition of that, they gave us a brand new camera mode for the Switch 2 now. They're really focusing on the multiplayer aspect of this game, and of course COVID, a lot of people use it to stay in touch, and they even used it for campaigning. I will never forget the Biden campaign used Animal Crossing back in 2020 to help push their campaign, and hey, it worked, right? So maybe that is not what Nintendo wants to see moving forward, but still, people are using Animal Crossing to do cool things in terms of multiplayer and getting people's attention. Even compared to something like Happy Home Designer, and I know that's not a Switch 2 edition and that came before we were even talking about what the Switch 2 was going to be, but Happy Home Designer was about $25, and now we're getting $5 for the Switch 2 edition and a bunch of new content for free. It's pretty cool, if you ask me, how much this is going to be a value for a lot of people. Most people are going to shell out $5 for this easily. It's not that much money. Just save yourself a coffee for that day. Don't take a coffee and then boom, you've got $5 right there. I could truly talk about this all day, but I don't want to talk in circles. I know that's something that can be very annoying to people. This pricing is odd. It's weird. Nintendo is following through with the variable pricing. I don't want to hear that they're not anymore. This is very clearly an example of them saying, yeah, we think this is only worth $5 because we didn't really add a ton. We gave you Switch 2 capabilities, and then we gave you 4K. $5 please, that's all you gotta do. And if you want to get into this game for the first time, $65 is all you have to pay, not $70, which is incredible. Like, they definitely could have charged $70 for this, and it would have been totally fine. Most people, including myself, would have defended it. But $65, it's just a great deal. It's just a great deal. So, moving forward, we don't know what this could mean. It could mean change, it could not mean change, but at the same time, we at least know this is possible. At any point, they could drop a Switch 2 edition on our heads, and it's only gonna be $5. And at any point, they could add an update to any game and give us a totally free upgrade like they did with Splatoon 3. There's just a lot of options on the table now, and looking forward to the future, we're just going to have to be able to put on our thinking caps and say, what games do they value more than others? Maybe they decided that this was only going to be $5 and that it was going to be more of a cheap deal for people because they know how much Animal Crossing means to people. They know how much this game meant to everyone, and they wanted to make sure that this experience was gotten by everybody. So that's why they also put it on the Nintendo Switch. They could have easily updated the game and only put this stuff on Switch 2, and that would have made everyone so angry, but they didn't. And so here we are talking about the Switch 2 price and talking about how great it is. For once in the Nintendo Switch 2 generation, we finally have something with zero negativity, something that no one can really say with a straight face, this is bad. They can't. No one can look you in the eye and say, this is bad. Everyone is winning here. Switch 2 owners are getting an extremely cheap option here. You're getting $5 extra for the Switch 2 edition. If you have the Nintendo Switch and you don't have a Switch 2 yet, and you have Animal Crossing and you want more content, you're getting more for completely and totally free. Everyone is winning. Everyone is winning. And boy, does it feel good that everyone is winning. So, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. What does this mean for the future of Switch 2 editions and Nintendo pricing? That variable pricing very well could be different in the future. I wouldn't be surprised if they increased it, and maybe at one point they'll decide to decrease it. So we'll see what that looks like moving forward. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed. Click that notification bell to know exactly when my videos release. I'll have one more video going out tomorrow on Animal Crossing. There is a big future in question here. Make sure you like today's video if you did enjoy the video. Click that notification bell to know exactly when my videos release. I have one more video on this topic going out tomorrow, the future of Animal Crossing. This says a lot about the next game. Make sure you subscribe to join the channel and see all of my future videos. Click on the left side of your screen to see my video covering the Animal Crossing update, and click on the right side of your screen to see my video talking about Switch 2 editions in general. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Make sure you have yourself a phenomenal day. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video.